Welcome everyone to the David Crowley Questions Conference Call number 2. Today is February 21st. It is 6:06 p.m. California time, and Sophia has joined me here. Hey Sophia.
Hello, everybody, and hey, Greg.
Awesome. We are going to be talking about the blood, and we're going to go maybe 60 to 90 minutes, maybe a little bit more, and we'll see how far we can get. I can already tell you we're going to definitely need a part 2 on this one. So I want to thank you for grabbing all of these slides, for pretty much putting this PowerPoint together. Let me see if I can get it started here. And I want to say hi to everybody who is in our live chat. Hey, Ellie and Denise, and I see Sophia in there. Your twin is in there as well. And Keitha, thank you for joining us too. So really appreciate that from everybody. We are live, and any group members who do want to join in here, we can definitely filter you in if you would like. We are going to start with the first slide. This is one. We are looking at the garage door, and this one here is one that we are told is not blood, but is paint. And I think everybody looking at this image here can get a pretty good idea of why people think that this is not in fact blood, but that this is paint. I'm going to pull up my second screen over here just so I can give everybody the image numbers as we go on. I think that might be helpful as well. But so
Did I include those with the screenshots that I sent you?
You did. But what I did with those screenshots is I based on that number, I went and found the high-res version of it so that we could add it here so people could get the best view of it here. But I wanted to have a second list here that would show exactly what the number is so that people following along at home can listen in. And I want to say hi to Pansy. Thank you for joining us as well. Long-time supporter. Alright, so what's your view on this image that we are looking at yonder? And I'm stalling because I'm trying to find the number. Trying to get the image.
I could see how it would get confused with blood.
And this is BCA.
But I really think that it could be a stain.
That it could be paint.
Paint stains?
Yeah, I think you're right. This is BCA number 4378 for anyone that wants to go and look that up. If you're looking at the Crowley house, this will be on the left-hand side, on the side of the house. This is this door, the chocolate room door, what I call it. It leads into the garage. And the first image that we got, I believe, it was a DSC image, so it was an Apple Valley image, and the quality was not as good as this one here, and obviously I thought that this was blood. Looking at it now, yeah, it's touch-up paint. So something happened here. They did something, and they had to touch up some paint, add some more paint. Paint got onto the doorknob, and you can see a little bit. Everybody can probably see my cursor, so you can see a little bit of that paint that kind of spilled off here. Now, I should know this because I was a painter for a while, but I don't. How fresh does this paint look? To me, it looks pretty fresh. Where this touch-ups are. But I believe that you are right. I don't believe that this is blood here. But if you look at this from a image that's not as clear, seeing it for the very first time, I can also see why people would think that, oh wow, that looks like blood, because that's exactly what I thought. I want to say hi to SassyButt16 and to Sandra Sillery. Thank you both for joining us as well. So we're looking at BCA 4378, and I think we can safely conclude that this is not blood. Alright, so now we're going to move to the next image, BCA 4455. Just let me know when that one comes up on your screen. Because this one, there is blood. There's blood all over the place. And I think one of the problems with this image, BCA4455, is a lot of the problem with a lot of these photos. The reason why we're not seeing blood, why we don't see blood looking at so many photos, seems like the closer that we can zoom in, the more that we can see blood in these areas, in these one areas. So what does that tell us here?
Uh,
I mean, you could see a
I'm
lot
looking
of
at the
blood,
photo. I mean,
a lot of blood spots,
you can.
and but in some of the earlier images, you couldn't see that much blood here. So it just makes me wonder: is one of the biggest questions is why is there no blood? Where is this blood? But we're looking at photographs. We weren't actually there to really see what blood was where, how much blood was there, etc., etc. This is all that we have. So I think we got to get a little pass on that for just looking at this, trying to understand where all of this blood is, which is a rational question. And I think
And
go ahead.
this is all medium velocity too. And I added a screenshot of what medium velocity looked like in the screenshots that I sent you.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know if I was able to put that one in here or not. I don't think I was. I must have missed that one. But that would explain what the difference is, or explain.
Medium velocity is not from a gunshot. It would be from something else. Just gunshot and arterial spray looks nothing like what we're seeing here.
So this is more closer to blunt force trauma, or just blood, somebody
Mm-hmm.
wiping blood from their hands, wringing
No.
their hands off? No.
No. Now, if they had it all over their hands and they're shaking their hands pretty vigorously,
Mm-hmm.
that would be medium velocity. But gunshot, it would be. It's completely different than what we're seeing here.
Is gunshot high? Because I'm new. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, okay.
It is high.
It's high velocity.
It's high velocity.
Okay.
High. And what they just mean by that is like high speed. That's just at a very high rate that it's going through.
Okay. This kind of gives us a good idea of some of the distance of how far that the blood went, how far the blood carried. Why is there blood all over here? Could any of this be from a dog grabbing a hand, dragging it behind the recliner, or something like that?
I don't think so. I mean, if the hand was extremely fresh, then yes, but I just don't see how he would be able to take a fresh hand off of a body. If the body had been there for several days, I could see him probably removing it a lot easier. But that blood is not going to spill out like that after several days.
And the color of this blood can also tell us some things, right? I mean, if it was...
For me, it's hard to tell with this photo. If we had something up close,
might be a little...
then I might be able to see it a little bit better. I had cut my hand a while back and had rubbed it on an old pillow. And I wanted to see how long it would stay red. And I think this is 2 months now. And it's kind of rusty pink after 2 months.
Okay.
I just don't see it being... I don't see it being a few days.
I mean, they should be able to say, well, based on this, we can tell that these bodies were there for 3 weeks. So they could at least tell how long the blood was there, right? Given some type of timeline. I mean, the biggest problem is that timeline, since nobody knows when these 3 people were killed. Um, it's hard, they should have spent a lot of time. I'm guessing they spent a lot of time trying to figure out how long these bodies were in that house for, based on more than their internet activity and based on more than their phone records. Obviously, that wouldn't help. Um, the decomposition, etc., etc. But could this blood be used to help see how long this blood here has been there for?
I honestly can't say. I'm not
Yeah.
qualified enough to say.
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean, I think it's just a question that we all, at some point, have asked, are asking, or continue to ask. And um, it's definitely something that I think about.
I know that Catherine Michelle had spoke with a coroner, and the coroner said 7 to 10 days. I'm having a hard time believing that, and it's only because of the damage that was done to the bodies, the mummification, and that's why I have a hard time believing that it was that long or that short of a time.
Mm. Okay.
Everything that I've read says that mummification takes time, but I've even spoke with an anthropologist, and he couldn't even give me an actual answer to this question. And I showed him the photo of the bodies, and I still couldn't get a straight answer. I think it just depends on the environment and the conditions of the house, stuff like that. I mean, it was their face, their hands, and it looked like Ronnie's chest area.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that had been exposed was mummified almost. And to me, everything inside of me says it takes time for that to happen. Now, if somebody could speak with me and tell me, no, it doesn't take that much time, then I'm happy to change my mind. But I just have a hard time with that time frame. Mm. And, of course, Catherine knows this. I've spoke with her several times in regards to it. But that's just my opinion on that, on how long they've been there and how long they've been dead.
Okay. I'm going to turn off the Facebook because it keeps making those noises. That will drive me crazy, but that's okay. Par for the course today. Okay. Somebody was asking in the chat if any of this blood here was tested, and no, it was not. Not even the blood on this recliner was tested. I think it was swabbed, right?
Yeah.
The recliner
it
was
swabbed.
But that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, none of this other blood was swabbed at all.
I don't think that they did individual droplets. I think that they just swabbed, because there's some other photos where you'll see that hallway right behind. I guess it's actually part of the living room still, but it's behind the recliner. Mm-hmm. You'll see the little ID things. I tried to include that with the screenshots. And so they did take some swabs, but so much was not tested. I have the actual numbers written down. I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
Here.
Denise says the dog poop looks drier than the blood. Interesting. Wonder which part. If all of it, all the dog poop, or just this one's over here in the right hand side. Even in the upper right hand side, this little white thing kind of looked like dust or something, but now I'm not sure. But I had wondered if that was just some old dog poop. But it's kind of rare to see dog poop and hair right there in the same place, I think. But Let's see. All right. So that is BCA 4455. Let's move on. We're looking at BCA 4456, which is just a deeper look into that carpet. And once again, it's like the closer that we look into the carpet, the more blood that I do see here. Small, little drops, but blood. So once you see this,
Yeah, I tried to add like the bullets too, because it had the DNA on it, and we were talking about blood and DNA and all that stuff.
right?
So it might not have that much blood in this photo, but that was the reason for why I included the bullets and the bullet casings.
Okay. All right.
And they took swabs of 47 items. 16 items were tested, and 21 items were not examined.
Wow.
Yeah.
Case solved.
It would be very interesting to find out what those other tests would have came back as and revealed.
Yeah, it would have. Hair looks very slick there and very very wet. Okay.
I always had the feeling that not all of it was actual hair, that some of it was fake. I don't know. There's just so much of it at the crime scene that was just the impression that I've had since the very beginning. And Ellie said that she's getting ready to call in.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on a decomposing body, I know I had a coroner friend tell me this once, and it really freaked me out. But he said when the body dies, it actually grows hair. So facial hair he was talking about. We never got into like hair on the top of the head or anything like that. So I don't know. And then if you have the dog mixed into it, I don't know. Maybe that's why there's so much hair. Kamel's hair, I think one of the last photos that we see, her hair looks short, so it doesn't look like she has a whole lot of hair. And that might have been in November, though, so I'm not sure. But obviously, this would have to be her hair, right?
I think so. I mean, but there's just so much of it there. It's rather stunning, to be honest. Maybe that's not a great description.
Let's see. Let's go to the next one, BCA 4458. We're going to look at that. Denise asked why weren't they tested? Why wasn't that blood on the floor tested? I really don't know. I don't know why they tested some stuff but didn't. Very interesting. And then Sanders says, if I remember correctly, they did not test the blood on the recliner, right? That's true. That was the largest amount of blood I could see in one spot. Yeah, so if they're not going to test the big spots, I guess, I don't know. You can't expect them to test these smaller ones, but what they do test is very interesting. What they do test and what they follow up on. What they swab and what they test. I guess I need to make that distinction there, because there are things that are swabbed, like you said, there's things that are swabbed, but then they're not tested. Or were they? I'm assuming, right? We're assuming if we're not seeing the results on them, unless they're hiding those, but that, I don't know.
No, it says in the BCA reports,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in very small print, that items such and such and such were swabbed but were never tested.
Okay. All right. At least they're clear.
And it's within the lab results part of it that they wrote it, and that, let me see if I can actually
Find that?
pull it up. I know that I sent you a screenshot of that.
Okay.
And let's see. Located in.
All right, well, we do have 10 people joining us live. I want to thank everybody for joining us in. And it does look like perhaps maybe Ellie has joined us.
Yes, I am here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
And hi, Sophia.
Hi, Ellie. How are you?
Hi, it's a pleasure to finally talk to you. And hi, everyone in the chat.
Woohoo!
She-Wolf.
Yeah, this is the only way you and She-Wolf can talk, apparently, is here.
Right.
I don't know what
No,
that
we
is.
can't.
I don't know what that's about, but
This
yeah.
is the only place we can't talk. For some reason, they won't let us talk here. But I didn't want to step on anyone's toes because I know Sophia put this together, and she's much more. When I saw the title, "It's Much Ado About Blood," I thought it was going to be about the documentary. But I have looked at these pictures extensively, so I do think, everybody's input can be valuable, spark a new idea. So that's why I decided to call. So thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Greg, it's page 11 of the BCA analysis.
Okay.
And on it, it says items 4 through 7, blah, blah, blah. It's like the second paragraph, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It will say we're not examined at this time.
Hmm.
So, sorry, Ellie.
How convenient.
No, that's good.
Well, Ellie, we've been trying to get Ellie on for a while now because we wanted to talk about. I wanted to hear her views on the sloppumentary. So I do want to make sure that we get to that here as well. Let's go, and we'll look at a few more photos, and then maybe Ellie, if you want to jump in with that.
Yes, certainly. I mean, Sophie, I would love to look at these pictures. I can always call in again. I mean, whatever. I just appreciate being included.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us.
I have been looking into this, through you guys for a year. So.
And you have done a few videos on this stuff too, and you have watched the sloppumentary. And
yeah.
What is your view on this case so far?
Well, I would like to preface it just because I do want to give see, I watched the sloppumentary when it first came out. And I didn't really know, I wasn't a fan of his, or I didn't know that there was that much rally. I don't have Facebook, so I wasn't in the know. But I did see the Bilderberg with Alex Jones, and I had heard of him. So I watched it in when it first came out, and then I just watched it again on Netflix, 2 years later, or a little bit more than 2 years later, after finding your channel and seeing the awesome work you and Sophia and others have done here to keep this case and find justice here, because there is no evidence that he was murdered, not one, or that he did this, rather, not one shred. In fact, every piece of evidence points in many different directions, but definitely not to David. So, So about watching this and rewatching this, I'm sorry, Sophia. I feel bad that I switched it up, but I do kind of want to just get this out. This is horrible. And I don't want to say that because I know, Greg, you were in it and Dan was in it. And of course, I love you guys. I don't mean that. But there's a couple parts in it that are disturbing, especially I did not notice it the first time around, because you can see how whoever was in charge, and I'm not going to name names because I have children, but we all know who was involved in the making of this film. And if you even want to call it a film, because I call it a hit piece on his character and on his life, and I call it also a lie, a whole bunch of lies. In fact, I can only count maybe 3 or 4 people that may have been telling the truth, and you and Dan are 2 of them. So it's just very upsetting the way they portrayed things. I guess maybe it would be helpful if you asked if anybody had any questions, because there's so much that I could say about it. I don't know where to start. It's and then watching the replays earlier today and going through the timeline and all of that. I mean, this piece that they're running on Netflix at a time. I mean, Netflix, by the way, I've looked into recently because I wanted to see who was funding and producing and putting on the Netflix show Pandemic. And I found out some disturbing things about Netflix. Of course, logistically, we all know that they're bad. But the fact that Netflix is pushing this and it comes up, I borrow a Netflix code. I don't even have cable, and it comes up in my friend's feed, and she has 3 kids and only watches kids shows. So they're pushing this gray state, which we all know is not the intended title. I don't know. It's just absolutely horrible, and I hate it. I wish they would take it off. Although it is important to the investigation and to people's new eyes, they should see it, but definitely not first. Or without. I feel like so many people have seen this, and they have no idea of any of the actual facts.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should ever watch it. I'd like to see this movie banned. I really would. It's horrible.
It's propaganda. They are leading people into believing that David's guilty with no proof whatsoever. And half the stuff that's in that documentary is not even real. We have one person who we don't even know what her real name is. They're talking about David and Kamal having financial issues, but they didn't. And
yeah, they called David right wing and all this, and it's like,
that was horrible. Yes, and
right.
Sophia, I know. Yeah, that was horrible. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, he died even before the whole right wing was even, a word.
Doesn't matter, apparently. Yeah.
But when they were making the movie, that's when this word was at.
Now that where you are right now on the screen, and that IndieWire. I'm sorry, Sophia. Werner Herzog, you were just there. You had the Werner Herzog page up, and David was standing there with the I don't know. It's not up there anymore.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm going back to it. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, like that trailer and that interview with him that was later added into a very long thing that a lot of people look at, and that I don't think is good either. It has Shaun White in it and Danny August Mason. It has all the people in it. But go down a little bit further, and there's at least a picture from the video. If you scroll down a bit, that video, that sole interview with David, if, okay, I'm just saying if, guys, if this was, if you wanted to go the conspiracy, I mean, most people are led to think it's got to be a cover-up because of the police work or non-work or cover-up. So if you lean that way, or if that's a possibility, which it should be at least a possibility, you could say it was because of this very trailer and the things that he said in the trailer interview, because I listened to it today, and he says a lot that has come to fruition, and I hate to, I just don't want to take that off the table, because it was staged, and people can be paid, and I don't know what happened here. I'm smart enough to know. I just know David didn't do it, for sure, 1,000,000% sure.
Yeah, I could probably play it here if you want.
That's all right. Can I ask you a question, Greg, since you
Sure.
were in it? I was curious to know what the reason the Alam family backed out or what that situation was. I never really, I would like to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, if you know.
They backed out for a few reasons. I think the biggest reason was that the film was going to make Kamel look crazy, which you can clearly see that they tried that. And I believe that they were going to push that pack theory. And I think once Kamel's family found that out, they asked that their stuff be taken out. That movie was supposed to end with Kamel's sister, who was pregnant. It was not supposed to end with that dog, so they had to rewrite, I guess, a lot of different stuff or just
Yeah.
change different things for it. But I mean, that is the biggest reason why people should not ever watch it. Yeah, I mean, you have one side of the family who is publicly, once they were
Disavowing
questioned,
it.
yeah, basically. So maybe
Yeah.
maybe David's side did too. Maybe it's just been more privately. I'm not really sure, but uh, the
Well, like Sophia said, like
mhm,
the actual, I'm sure you didn't meet them. I'm sure they sat down in another room. But that Susan Houghton, and you know
mhm,
who I mean.
yeah,
I mean, these women are questionable at least, and evil, at the worst. So I just wonder, did you know anything about them, or
about
I don't know
about who exactly?
about Susan Houghton. She
Oh,
played Kamel, or I don't know. I think she played a role. That's why I said it like
Yeah.
that. I guess I
She
shouldn't say it like that, but Sophia just reminded me of that part of it, and that's a big part of it too. Why it should be discredited, because that's an actress.
yeah, I think it was her and Sarah Johnson are the two that look very, very similar, right? Almost to
Right.
the point where I had thought that they might be the same person, but no, I don't really know anything about them. I don't really know anything about a lot of the um, people that are in that sloppumentary. Adam Shambauer, I had never heard of him either, and so these guys, there's just a lot of people that are just like, wait a minute, why are they in this movie? What are they doing here? What is their purpose here? Her purpose was not to make Kamel look good. It was not. There's nothing there that really made the relationship with David and his wife look good. Everything was. It just seemed like it was all made to just stir up trouble. You
And
know.
look at what's on the screen. Speaking of stirring up trouble,
Yeah.
look at what's right on this while they're pushing a Kristen Stewart movie. Uh, right there in the center.
Yeah. What is
The
this?
scrawling
It's
of
like
Allah
everywhere.
Akbar on the wall in blood and then killing himself.
Yeah.
I mean, they came to this conclusion within an hour of being in the house, for real. They didn't even keep an open mind. Like, if you're to believe that, Apple Valley PD is on the up and up. I
Right.
tend to think that they're not, but I mean, I don't know. I can't call that. But just the way this is written is just so, it should be illegal. This is not true. There is no proof that he killed himself
Right.
or
Right.
that he wrote that on the wall. His fingerprints aren't, his DNA is on a smudge behind the couch. He sat on that couch all the time with his hand around his girls, his wife and his daughter.
Right.
So, yeah, I just get so upset because people just slander his name when there's not a shred of evidence. I mean, if someone can prove it, I'm willing to listen.
Yep.
You know?
That's right. But there's
I've
no.
been saying that for a couple of years.
It's just like they had to put so much propaganda out. If the truth is that David Crowley is guilty, we would not see so many lies, so many fake stories, so many varying stories. The truth would be very, very clear, and the truth is very, very clear. That's the whole thing. They can write as many of these propaganda hit pieces as they want to. It's not going to change the truth. And it's what you said. They don't know that David did this. They don't know that David wrote this. They don't know that David did any of this stuff. They weren't looking for anybody else.
Mhm.
I mean, they can't even get. There's some things like this drive me crazy. A 4-year-old daughter, she's 5 years old. You know, the simple things, like I can understand those, but it's just one on top of the other on top of the other, where it's just like, do they even realize that these are real people? That these are real people, and a real crime happened here? Do they really care about children?
And if I could, just before I forget,
Yeah.
I have a tendency to forget things.
Go ahead.
Thinking of her, that piece that they showed in the sloppumentary of that little girl, she was only 3. Her birthday, her 4th birthday, was on the next day, and they tried to portray that conference. I have 2 sons. One is 12 and one is 3. That conversation was not odd that he had with his daughter that was just about to turn 4. Now, they framed it as such, but that was completely misconstrued, and it just goes to show you just another proof that it's just a hit piece of a documentary, and it should be pulled. I wish people would just erase it, like they did the moon landing technology. Just get rid of it so we can never look at it again.
Or like when they filmed running down in the basement throwing a temper tantrum. Well, heck, we go through at least 6 of those a day here at our house. Okay,
Now,
for me, I go through 6 of those a day, but
what did they do?
When they filmed, or when they put Ronnie's temper tantrum that she was having down in the basement, and David had filmed it. Well,
yes, the temper tantrum. Yes.
Yeah, my grandson is autistic. He has level 3 autism, and he's nonverbal. And my daughter has filmed some of his temper tantrums so that she could show his doctor and his behaviorist what we go through and what is going on at the time, because he hurts himself during these. And we try to help him through it, but he's so far gone during them that it's very, very hard. But we have filmed them, and God forbid anything ever would happen to us and they decided to do a documentary, I can guarantee that those videos are going to be misconstrued and used against us for some reason or
another. I would never let that happen, because Precious, he and I can tell you, if this makes you feel any better, and I pray for you, and we've talked about this. My 12-year-old and 3-year-old throw temper tantrums too. They don't hurt themselves. I'm certainly not saying that. I'm just saying, yes, I think every child has a temper tantrum or 2 a day, even, for, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. We were at the aquarium today, and he threw 3 of them. So it was a long day. But it's just, they were trying to use that as David being a horrible person and a horrible father, and what people don't understand is some of us as parents go through some interesting things. And you know that, Ellie.
And I think David was, and the way that they tried to play the stop-loss, you know, like they showed the pictures. I mean, it's just so, I researched like MK Ultra and, you know, the germs coming over here, all that, the mind games, the fracturing, all of that. That's done to soldiers. And they played that up. But see, David, if you guys know, he was, I mean, this man was a hero to me. And I didn't know him before this, okay? Like a little bit, like I said, on Alex Jones the one time, and I knew that the movie was coming out, and it was in that vein of what I looked at. But that's it. It's just, it's horrible how they used his redeployment, which they did to him. You know, I would be very interested to talk to some of the people. And I think there was some people that came out and said that he was awesome, that he, had a sound mind. He was a great partner, a soldier to be with, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
From the people that I've heard of, yeah, that is correct.
Yeah, several
said.
soldiers privately. Yeah, there's been a few public, but definitely privately too. So, yeah, it's right on the money.
And if you ever get a chance, look at his live streams, because that gives you more of a picture of what David really was than what the documentary did. And
right.
You don't see the post-traumatic stress syndrome that was implied in the documentary. You don't see a horrible person who's a manipulative alpha director kind of thing. You don't see that at all. You see a very caring director.
They were planning for the future. If he was plotting, he was a thought-out, methodical, organized. He's a director. Okay, these characteristics are innate in a man in a person like this. So he would not have been so sloppy. It just, none of it fits. It doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true, in my experience.
So what do you think the purpose of this film was? I mean, as someone who's watching it.
I think it was a hit piece, and I think Tribeca, right there, you got it up, Nantucket, all that is money. Yeah. All that Hollywood and all that, it's all money, which could be a motivation for all of this, of course, because we know David didn't do. We know there's other people that did murder, and I think it's more than one, and I think they're still out there, obviously. So it's all just surreal, and I can't believe it's been 5 years, and you just come out with a book, and I hope that, is there a way we can get this reopened? I mean, there's literally not I guess that's where Catherine Michelle said, I guess people just give up because you can't get anywhere with them. I think maybe we might have to I was talking to Greg about the sneaky tactics. Maybe we might have to, infiltrate and find out what happened here. I need to clear this man's name, or not me, but just it needs to be on the books that he didn't do this.
Correct.
Right. Do you guys think that's possible? I mean,
yes.
You must if you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
no doubt.
What about the chat?
I think that I'm hoping that after the election, after the November election, I'm hoping things will change enough to where we will be able to find people who will listen to us. At least that's my hope. I'm currently working on a podcast series. I know Greg and I are both working on a podcast. At the moment, we're on our second episode. But I'm also working on my own for this case. My goal is to get this case reopened. That is my ultimate goal.
I know it is. I know it is. I guess that was a stupid question. I'm sorry. Now that I think about it, that was just a dumb question. Of course.
It's not.
Please.
No, it's not, because
don't apologize.
Yeah, it's a question that everybody has to ask, and it's a question that people ask. They get to the point where it's like, do you guys really think that this is going to happen? And the answer is yes. I mean, I have complete faith that if it's God's will, yes, that will happen. And I think for whatever reason, all of those things are being put into place that are going to put the right person into the right spot to make that happen. And it's just for the simple closure. I mean, the family, the friends, they don't have closure. This film does not give people closure. It might reinforce their view because of how it's spun, but even that is a big stretch. I mean, how can these people look themselves in the mirror and say, yeah, David Crowley is guilty? I mean, it is just, you have got to, you are fooling yourself. You're kidding yourself. And the problem is, they're making money off of it too. So it's not just like there's a propaganda people out there trolling and posting and commenting and blah blah blah. It's like, no, they took that extra step. They went mainstream, and not mainstream of how it should have been, how the case should have been handled on a mainstream basis. It should have been, you know what? We don't know. So let's reopen this. That's what this film should have done, and that's what it really did. And that's how God works, and that's why I really think that there is something else here. This is a very toxic case. This is a very dark case. This case could be a case that is meant to drive people into a dark place, to take them into a dark place, to make them completely give up, to lose hope, to where they do something bad. And that's how toxic this case can be towards people. And I privately, I won't go into it, but privately, this case has caused problems in people's lives.
I know. I know.
And so
I know. And
yeah,
what you just said about everything, I do truly believe. I'm Christian, not a denomination. We praise the Lord here in the house, all four of us. But everything does happen for a reason, and everything that's come from this, Sophia, your work, Greg, Dan, everybody, I can't name everybody, but everyone's work on this, not on this floppumentary, is so inspiring. And maybe it does just take the right person to hear it and get it, and that is so true. And I do think it's God's will for his name to be cleared in the end. So that is very inspiring, and thank you for setting me straight to that. Because it can be dark. It does get dark.
Well, I honestly don't think that we need to set you straight at all. I mean, it's a very legit question that people need to ask at least once while looking into this case. What are we doing here? What's the goal? Is it going to get reopened? And that is my ultimate goal, is to get it reopened. I am hoping that with the podcast that I'm trying to put together, that we'll put enough inconsistencies together that will knock the Apple Valley PD's investigation out. And people will start asking questions and saying, hey, this is conflicting with your investigation. We have more answers. Your investigation does not say that. It doesn't come up with David as 100% guilty, but they found all this other information out. The phone lines were still active as of 2019. There's 2 to 3 unknown DNA sources that were found at the house. Why didn't you guys look further into this? Who is that? Whose DNA was there? Who was still paying for David's phone line?
And the 21, the things that they didn't enter into evidence. At the beginning of the stream, you had the picture, the second picture from the BCA, I think, of the floor with the hair and the bullet. And I did see for the first time those 2 little blood droplets up in the right corner. Crap, what was I saying? Sophia just said it. Oh, my goodness. I'm telling you, I have a horrible memory.
You're in very good company then, because I'm the same way.
Sophia,
there's
what
too
did
much.
You just say, though?
Yeah, there's too much.
What did you just say, Sophia? Because it was something you said.
Just now?
Yes, just now.
About the phones or the unknown sources, the 2 to 3 unknown sources for the DNA?
Well, yeah, just the fact that that was it. I'm so sorry, guys. The things that they won't give are you guys who have been working on this, because they said it wasn't factored into what the ultimate finding of the case was. Case closed, he did it, so we're not giving it to you. Well, there's a lot of that information. There's a lot of that that what you were saying about your hope and answers of that if that happens, which it does seem plausible the way you just put it. I mean, because they have contradicting and metadata issues within their own department. The same person contradicts, you know what I mean? So it's definitely something, like Greg said, I guess we just got to get the right person to invest, to do it.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey. Who we got?
This is Stephanie. I just wanted to interject real quick.
Please do.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I really feel like with the information that was released from the police, with the fact that we have found that the metadata was messed with, that stuff was moved at the crime scene before anybody was supposed to be doing anything but touching pictures or taking pictures, I feel like they're at the point where they're like, if we admit we did something wrong here, they're going to attack us. It's going to start like
they're
going
to get sued, like illegal issues or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so
do we have to sign a waiver saying we're not going to sue them if they tell us the truth?
See, I don't know. My thinking on this is you've got hundreds of thousands of cases that were reopened, re-looked into, re-investigated with fresh eyes, and it was found out that, maybe they put the wrong person in jail for like 15 years, And it's cases like that that give me the hope that, yeah, it may take 15 years, but you know what? Someday, we are going to have the truth, and this family will be, whether David is innocent or not, at least for the people who are grabbed by this case, we can have a peace of mind, But the police, at this point, they have said so many times that, no, we did it fine, leave it alone. If they go back and say, well, all right, you were right, we screwed up, we're going to look back into this, then they're going to have all this, like it'd be a wormhole opening for them, whether it's legal issues or other people coming back going, I want my case reopened because you screwed up over there. I don't know if you screwed up here either. So if we were to have this reinvestigated, I really, really feel like it would have to be like an outside agency.
Infiltration.
No. Like instead of the BCA and the Apple Valley PD reopening this and re-looking at it, like maybe somebody higher up than them could come in and take over the entire investigation, like kind of like internal affairs. Like when there's a shooting with a cop, they don't let their buddies investigate it per se. They get other officers who are not going to be biased against the person being looked into,
Is Ann on the line also?
That would be great.
Greg?
Is
Ann on the line?
I don't think so. Ann? As far as I know.
No, I thought she was.
I did see another number there, but I think that was just Stephanie.
Okay, because I had wanted her to also talk about how she discovered corruption in Dakota County, which is the same county that David and Camille live in.
That's right.
And so she
Dakota
found
County assisted with the investigation.
And they found
Didn't they?
legit corruption going on in that county.
But see, it would have to be somebody not in there to come and investigate it.
But I mean, could we trust internal affairs? I mean, yeah, I guess we definitely have to go that route or something. But can they even be? I mean, I come from the school of thought. Maybe it's a little crazy. Hey, I've been called worse. That the brotherhood. It's a brotherhood, and that there's a little crookedness everywhere. So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think that needs to happen.
Well, not only did we find that the metadata had been manipulated once it got back to the BCA headquarters or lab, but while they were at the crime scene, they cut pieces of the skin flap off of the skull. And they had broke a piece of the skull off when they were, I guess they were setting it back down, or when they picked it up, one of the two. And so the skull piece is manipulated, and they're still taking photos of it as evidence. But they never mentioned that a piece had been cut and a piece had been broken off. It's like,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
pages, you could read more words. The metadata, that's the metadata that's messed up. Pictures that were taken within seconds or possibly even milliseconds if you're snapping pictures. And is that what you were talking about? I'm sorry if it wasn't, but that's what that means.
If you look at
Yeah.
the information of the photo, somebody went in and like overwrote what was originally there, because there's absolutely no possible way that these pictures could have been taken one right exactly after another.
It's
Catherine
supposed to
Michelle
be.
and
Yeah.
Sophia really looked into that.
The metadata says it's within seconds, but the skull piece had been picked up, manipulated, put back down in almost the exact same spot several times. Each, one photo after another photo after another. It had been picked up and moved between each single photo in a couple of seconds. You need more time to do everything that they did. And that metadata is incorrect.
I don't even think they could pick it up and move it that fast either. But I don't really
Correct.
see any
Correct.
reason to even pick it up and move anything. Maybe they're picking up other things. Maybe somebody's picking up something as one of the other people is taking photos, snapping photos.
Somebody had
the really
suggested maybe they were moving the page or the scarf to, or the things around the skull pieces in the
Right.
photos. But the baseline question is, why were they moving anything regardless? Nobody was supposed to be moving anything. They were just supposed to be taking pictures.
And they were not supposed to be touching any of the body parts.
Right.
And yet they did. And on top of that, they cut off part of the skin that was there. They cut off, or they broke some of the bone on the edge of the skull piece. It's like, what were they doing? Because there's nothing stating that they took samples from the skull piece. So there was no reason to be doing that at all.
No, the way that they handled the crime scene altogether was, I mean, again, sloppy at the very least, or intentionally. I mean, come on. If you just take, 2 to 4 hours and look through some of these pictures and learn about the metadata and just look at the pictures. I mean, first of all, there's no way that they're killed on that rug, okay? 3 bodies killed on that rug. That whole rug would be rust colored, the whole rug. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
It's all good.
That's all. It's upsetting, but it is inspiring. And it's my first time calling. I'm a bit nervous too.
You make videos.
I
Why
know.
are you nervous?
I look up to you guys.
You
guys
have your
are-
own
you
channel.
guys-
Yeah, you have a lot of good stuff on your
Yeah.
channel.
But I talk to you guys. I talk to,
No, I know.
You know
I
who you
get
are.
the same way. I'm very nervous. I have this stutter, so I just try to work through it and just like, you know what?
Because
That's
I don't
not
want to
gonna stop me.
offend I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't know, like I don't even, admittedly and as shamefully, I don't even know exactly who that was that just made all those good points. But she did say, you know, even if David did it or not, David didn't do this. That's the whole thing. Like, and it doesn't really take a lot to see that. And I just wish more people would just see it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, even if it doesn't get, maybe I misunderstood her, but I just mean, come on, he just didn't do it. The rate of decomp, rate of, I mean, just everything, it and like you said, the overabundance of it, it's, you have such an aptly named, you know, the gray stage, you know, that's so perfect, because that is what this is, and it's done poorly. I'm the furthest thing from a criminal, and I could have staged this better.
Yeah, I've said this several times before, but I swear to you, the way that they ran that crime scene and all the motions that they went through, it's almost like it was a training exercise.
Well, weren't they new or something? Or was that just a rumor? I heard that there was some kind of new, I just heard it today in a replay, that there was some kind of new system put in place just a few months, maybe 8 months, maybe a year, but I don't think so, right ahead of this investigation. I'm sorry, what was that?
The forensic computer task force.
Yes.
Yes.
Whatever they're called.
Yes.
If this was a training of some sort, the only thing I can guess is it's like a training for everything you don't do.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I was in the military, we went through like mock drills and mock war.
Right, but you wouldn't be moving things at the crime scene if you're having a training exercise. You'd be kicked right out.
Yeah, unless they were telling us what not to do.
Right, which is just dumb, because these were real people. Why not use dummies if that's what you're going to use? This is real people who were human beings. Like, what if there was one of your family members you walked in on?
You have a soul. People that have been brainwashed or paid a lot of money or in compromising situations, desperate, whatever.
Right, but either way, there's got to be somebody that was there that, you know, is in that job to find justice, to make sure that the law is upheld and followed. Like, not everybody who was at that crime scene can be completely heartless and only in it for money. That's just impossible to me.
It's true. Was there anyone gotten rid of? I know the coroner, the chick, she was gone within a year.
Yeah, the medical examiner.
I mean, where are these people that were there? Who I have not looked. I mean, I think I might have went over it like a year ago, but who exactly were? Because you're right, it would be hard to believe that every single officer in that house, considering there was so many, on several different calls, or 2 different calls at least, the day the cleaners came, you know, whatever. But yeah, you would think that there would be one good guy there, but is that guy brave enough to stand up to losing his pension, to losing, you know, status in the brotherhood? I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Right.
Right, no, I completely understand. Like, that's the thing, though. Like, out of all the people that were there, whether they were police or crime scene cleaning crews or, you know, whoever, there's got to be somebody that was there that, however long it does take, will eventually come out and be like, look, yeah, I was there, this is what happened, you know, I didn't say anything.
Do you think, you know, maybe his brother or Danny August Mason could be one of those people? I mean, could they snap out of it and maybe remember something? Just a question.
I think if Dan Crowley Sr. dies and Dan Crowley Jr. is pushed hard enough, we might find some truth to things.
Ooh, good answer.
I mean, that's really
That's true.
terrible to say, but like if Dan Crowley Jr. had anything to do with this, and he told his father, I can completely, it's screwed up, but I can understand his father wanting to help keep this quiet to not lose another family member.
That is such a good point, and I think that that's what happened. And those last texts between David and his father were awkward. You could tell they were estranged, right? And who leaves presents for their brother without knocking up on Christmas?
Even if there's a problem, if I'm going to, even if it's on my way, if I'm going to leave anything at somebody else's house, I'm going to knock, I'm going to call, I'm going to text. You know, if not that day, then later that day, or, you know, definitely in the days coming, because I would like to know that they got it. But he just, you know, drops this stuff off and doesn't bat an eyelash about it until you watch the documentary by Eric Nelson where he's like, oh, you know, I had this feeling this one day, like I should go over there and I should just tell him I love him. But then, you know, I got close and I was just like, you know, I talked myself out of it. And then, you know, I left the presents on this day and nobody knows, like there's no
except
other.
For the prop nows, the
right.
Nows.
And they didn't notice them until a couple weeks after what he said he dropped them off. Like it just doesn't make sense. There's too much loose ends.
They weren't out there for more than a couple days, 7 days tops.
Right. There's just too many loose ends surrounding those. Right. Not 3 weeks.
Back to the very, I think that his brother, David's brother,
Dan Crowley Jr.
Yeah, has this thing. I know a little bit about psychology. I took it in college. I know it's a dumb course, but I took it. My parents were not happy, but I see a dynamic there with Senior and Junior, and he's definitely a father pleaser. He was always closer to his father than David, and that's definitely a dynamic that needs to be examined further. I don't know how, because both of them are so cryptic or just weird with the stuff they post or say. It's just so out of character. You kind of can't really put your finger on. I can't. But there's an odd thing going on there. I think the son tries to please the father there, and I think that there was definitely competition. The way he talks about Rainey in the documentary, Greg kept calling it a film, and I almost cut you off and said, stop calling it a film. But the way they portrayed that whole thing, too, was just not. I mean, how could they possibly know, first off? It's just another point of this documentary. I mean, look at and again, what about the future plans they had? Right. We have proof that they were planning for the future. She was writing a book. She's just signed the papers to, you know, do it legally because she couldn't be a dietitian at the same time and author a book. So these are things that people do. Again, David's characteristics and the type of person he was a planned out type of guy, right? He was in the military, this and that. I think he was I think he was stable. I mean, as stable as any of us are in this cruel world. But I think he was. I think that the going back after he was married, it took a lot out of him and caused a lot of resentment. But it ultimately cost him his life because he was telling the truth. And that's how I think about the whole situation. Really, I think he lost his life. He's some kind of martyr, and that's for lack of a better word, because I don't like to put that label on him. But you know what I mean, right? I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was
I feel like if David was going to commit this crime, like they said he did, that he supposedly planned it all out and everything, there would have been footage. There would have been footage of it, like him filming himself doing this, because he's an artist. You know, he...
And the hard drives would also imply that he was filming a lot more that was not gathered. Just
right. If you watch
a lot that he did film.
Have you seen the live streams he did where they were like doing some they were shooting some kind of footage at Danny August Mason's apartment with...
That's a really long live stream.
Yeah, it's like several hours long. But if you watch it and you watch like how...
find these, because Sophia mentioned it at the beginning of the broadcast, and I thought to myself, man, I've never seen or even heard of the live stream. How can we access those? Because I have not seen them or heard them.
Gray State.
Yes, and there's
Just
also...
type in Gray State in your search bar on YouTube and go through that, and it'll bring up anything that's got the word Gray State in it. But your top results are either going to be from Greg Fernandez Jr., Dan Hennon, Catherine Michelle, or the live stuff David did himself.
Yeah, I got the first thing I put Gray State with an A, of course. The first thing that came up was a trailer. You know, the trailer from Fandango, the HD trailer, 2017 movie clips in the Gray State trailer 2 years ago is the second thing that comes up. And then the fourth thing is the Gray State. And I'm not subscribed to that. Oh, okay. So you're saying that's where I can find these live streams? I'm sorry, because I'm going to share this with my viewers too. And I just want to be sure that we can get some.
Oh my, I'm going to have to
those
find
live
it
streams
now.
are important, right? I mean,
they are. They very much are. It's very, I hate to say it, but boring. Because to analyze it, you've got to have nothing else you're doing. Just sit there and watch it, because Danny August Mason suggests several different ideas of his own, like how he thinks they should try something. And to me, watching that interaction between him and David seemed like he was willing to listen and consider it. Not like he was a control freak asshole that, you know, didn't want to listen to anybody else. Like, I think at one point he's got his arms crossed, but that's more of a, like, he's just kind of standing there and his arms are crossed, like, in just like a casual type way as he's listening to what Danny has to say. And he says, you know, something along the lines of, well, yeah, we can definitely try it and see how it looks. You know, there's no problem with that. We can try it.
Yeah, I know it's exactly what you're talking about.
He's very, very open, you know, to all these ideas. So when you get to, you know, hear things from people who knew him about how he was, you know, a control freak, and he had an idea, and if you didn't like that idea, he didn't care. He had this way he was going to do it, and nobody was going to tell him different. I think that's bullshit, because if that's how he was, you can pick up on that. If you've been around people like that, you learn to train yourself to pick up on the way that they are. And David, just in that, just in the live streams, just watching him, he just doesn't seem like that pushy control freak kind of guy. Like, to me at least.
And you also need to watch the videos that he posted on Hothead Productions because those are very telling too.
And Hothead Productions, just to clarify, that was his. That was his baby,
Yes.
right? Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to find the live streams so I can send them to you, Ellie.
That's what I was going
Thank
through.
you. Thank you.
Looking
Or
for-
maybe Greg could put it in the chat, or however you want to do it. Yes, please. I appreciate it.
Maybe if I just go to my recently watched.
Let me go to their channel. That would be the easier thing to do. So, Greg, did you want to go over the photos? Or are we going to save that for a different time?
I would love to see the photos that Sophia has here, if you guys don't mind. I'll just mute myself and, chime in if I have anything to add.
He might have had to go let the cat out, so he might be back in a minute.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
You can hear me? Okay. Yeah. So
Can I
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say hi to Zigaman. He's this that I met him through another channel, but he followed me over here as I've been trying to make people aware. So I want to just thank him for doing that. And he said he even told his daughter in the car, and she said that she hopes we find the truth. So thank you for being here. Sorry, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I love it when new people find the channel.
Yeah, that's great.
So one of those live streams is listed now as a private video. I can't get back into it.
Is it really?
It won't even show me like which one it was. It just says private video.
That's not surprising.
Well, I already sent two that work.
Where did you send them? I'm sorry, I'm actually a technical retard, and I don't mean that word, and I mean it in a medical sense. My growth is
Messenger. I sent it to you on Messenger.
Okay.
Yeah, we might have them backed up somewhere, some of those live streams.
I see, I got it. Okay. Thank you very much. You're the best. You are the best. And I mean that.
Okay.
You are something special.
Oh, thanks. Greg, did you want to go over the photos again?
Yeah.
Or
For sure. Let's do it. We do have a comment in there. I guess, Stephanie, I guess your mic is coming in a little hot.
Hi?
A little high.
Okay.
High. So, I'll let you know if that's the case.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, let's keep rolling. So we're now on BCA 4459. And here we have, again, more hair, a lot of hair, and then just all these blood spots. So this is medium velocity, Sophia? Is that what this is?
let's see that.
Tell me what I'm looking at here once it shows up.
I mean, this is not high velocity, but I'm not sure if it's slow or medium. I'm typing it in real fast.
Okay. And it's traveling. This blood is traveling. And as we move on, we're going to see it
all along this wall on the left-hand side here.
See, it's like they're
That's a
showing
really
up as
good,
low and medium too.
that's a really good comment, She-Wolf. Quick thoughts,
What's that?
fleeting thoughts often are good. The hands were taken to hide the defense wounds. That's a good thought. But what about David, and what about her arm? But that's definitely a great thought. Sorry to cut you off, Sophia, about this picture I'm looking at it here with you. Ugh. So about this blood, are you saying these are drops?
I
Oh,
it
the one
doesn't.
before.
It's not high velocity, but it is not quite medium either.
Okay. Okay.
And
I do know a little bit about firearms, and unfortunately, I've seen someone shot in the head. I think he probably still had a little bit of life in him. I don't know too much about blood spatter, but these look like a low velocity, or even, especially up
It's
there
like-
by the hair, up by the leg of the table there. That big one there, and the three kind of that make a square, they kind of look like drops. And the ones by the carpet are going like northwest a little bit. I don't know. It's all very confusing. But again, I don't know too much about blood spatter besides common sense.
yeah, this looks more low velocity, and then there's kind of a mixture of medium, maybe, but it's definitely not high. I've yet to see high velocity in any other crime scene photos.
Me neither. High velocity, just to clarify, would mean, like, for instance, that big one by the leg of the table, you would see it more spread out, kind of like in a splattered teardrop shape, correct? That's what you mean?
Well, it definitely would be from a gunshot. That's
Right.
what
I
high.
mean, the blood would look, when you're talking about velocity, low would cause this look of spatter.
Mhm.
And a high velocity, you would see kind of motion in the blood left behind, right? Like, kind of like a trail behind it. Okay.
Yeah, and just like with arterial, excuse me, I'm sorry, like when the artery is cut and it sprays, that's very, you could definitely tell when that happens. Just like with high velocity, it's very noticeable, and you just don't see that at all in this case for their crime scene photos.
I didn't even think about that. You're right, and their arteries would have had to have been cut. You have arteries that run right up your arm. Absolutely. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, the lack of blood leads me to believe they weren't killed here. Or at least not on that carpet.
And this blood here, it completely reminds me of staging. Just staging a whole crime scene.
You're
Whether
right.
it was, like put on something and thrown, like a sponge or whatever. I don't know how people stage crime scenes.
The hair confuses me too. I'm sorry, I gotta just say it. Every time I look at every picture with it in it, it's just something's off. It's like this one in particular, staged. You're right.
Because of
This
the
is a
color,
classic
or what is
example.
it? What is it about it?
Like in this picture, for instance, you see single strands. Camille had thick hair. Her daughters did too, but young children don't typically have that young. Don't have thick hair yet. But these are thin strands versus the clumps versus the. We've seen many. My point is, we've seen many different pieces or clumps or these strands of hair all over, with no seemingly same method used to pull the hair from the head, if you know what I mean. It's all
Yep.
seems like, different. Like I said, these are single strands here versus the clumps that we see, like you showed in the first picture of the show. Do you guys know what I'm saying? The
There's
hair
hair
just always
everywhere.
puzzles
There's hair in the
me.
basement.
Is there? I did not know there was hair in the basement. Oh, Greg, if you don't mind, what was that house you were showing? And I guess it was the replay. What was that house you were showing?
Was that when?
Just now, before this live.
That was one of the neighbors' houses. So those were some of the BCA crime scene photos.
Okay. I'll look for them in there. I mean, does anyone else think that's abnormal, or just me? I didn't know it was in the basement too. It's just a lot, like it's staged, but again, so poorly. Because here it's like thin, it's not in clumps. It's, I don't know.
They're
and then
thin,
David,
but they're also long. These are long hairs too.
Yes. Well, the one kind of looks like a question mark. You can see that might be two pieces right in the center. If you look right at that corner of the leg of that chair and you just come straight down, you'll see that those are two separate pieces, one kind of in a question mark. And look, it almost looks like a heart without a bottom if you look at the two strands. And then you got one down towards the middle left that just, I don't know, looks like a single strand, right? It is long. It is long. Well, her hair was what? Her hair was past, shoulder length, right?
I thought her hair was pretty long.
Pretty long?
I wanted to. I thought that maybe this was something we could legitimately say paleo could have done. Just all the hair everywhere, including down in the basement. Because some of it is almost like it doesn't make sense how it would have got, like in the basement. How would it have gotten down in the basement unless, it was on somebody or, paleo and it got down there, or, as you guys were saying, if it was purposely put there, if it was staged.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hair, and could one person have that much hair? I mean,
the problem is we don't have a picture of the autopsy for her.
Somewhere I thought I read some of it was artificial hair. I'm gonna have to find that though.
Really? How from a stuffed animal?
Yeah, like extensions for your hair, like.
She never wore extensions.
Oh, I mean, no.
Not that I know of, no. I mean,
because there was
she had short hair for a while.
I know a lot of people that like they have their own pieces of hair that they color them and they just pop them in, whenever, and they're really easy to put in and really easy to take out. So that's what that made me think of when I had read wherever I read that.
I know. I do know women that do that, and I should probably do that. My hair is thinning. It's also confusing, and this is also long enough because Rainey. That's how you say her name, right? Because I know some people say Ron. A lot of people say it differently, but I think it's Rainey, right?
I think it's Rainey. I think her whole name is
Rania.
Rania.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be Rania.
So her official name is Rania, but they call her Rainey. That's what I kind of gathered. Okay, I just wanted to. I don't want to be disrespectful, so and I didn't want to mispronunciate. But yeah,
don't feel bad, because in one of the police reports it says their daughter's name was Ranita.
Oh my.
Ranita. So don't feel bad at all about butchering it, because they did.
Thank you. But 3 deceased, a family at Christmas time, and the officer wrote that down. Not even, these officers didn't, like Greg said, they already made up their mind. Maybe they just didn't want to do work, so I don't think it's that simple, but maybe it is. Truth is stranger than fiction. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't know why Apple Valley did such a shoddy job. Like, I'm a lay person, and I could go in here and handle this of the case, not just cherry picking stuff, deciding on the case, and then not making the rest of the information that you have, which is quite a bit, that you're not going to release because it wasn't used to determine the case. Well, you're claiming that a man killed his wife, his daughter, and then himself. We should see all the evidence, all of it.
Right. All of it.
And they have it. We have some, but they're not releasing it because they say it wasn't used to come to their decision. Well, why not? Isn't that something to get the case through? Why wasn't that considered? Why wasn't it put into evidence? That should be enough to get it reopened right there. Look how it's like strewn around the table leg. Just strewn around it.
I'm really amazed with how clean a lot of these areas are. Like, on the other side of this end table up at the top here, there's, like, you can see a bunch of, like, dust and, like, just caught up dirt, I guess. But then if you look right here, you don't see any at all. Like, all you see is her hair and the blood spots. You don't see, like, if you look on the, like, right there in, like, the middle-ish, you'll see that clump with, like, the white things.
Yep.
I think that is just like dust and hair that would have collected regularly. But as you go down the picture, it gets cleaner. It gets cleaner, and that's just
under
weird.
Table and under,
right.
You're absolutely right. It's under a table, which, again, I have 2 boys, 3 if you count my husband. And I do.
Right, and like the window, Sophia had pointed out in one of our other calls that there should have been, like, smudge marks all over that window. If not fingerprints from Ranny, then smudge marks from Paleo, definitely, and, like, scratches and whatnot. There should definitely be some blood spatter on there, but that window is amazingly clean. It's just odd, the places that are dirty, and you can see where it should be dirty, but it's not. In the hallway pictures is a big one too. Like, as you're going down that hallway, there's almost a clear-cut line of where the dirt stops. Like, everything before that was cleaned, and the rest of it was, like, not.
Right.
Like, all this
makes me think of Sophia's experiment she did with the blue paint.
Mm-hmm.
And that one part with the luminol or whatever, something luminol-esque, some kind of thing that they sprayed, and that one part to the left looking like as if it was smeared. And Greg had mentioned it was almost like a trail of breadcrumbs. Maybe not that marked. Maybe I'm taking that out of context. But look at that. Now, if I could just make a little bit of announcement, I don't know, I'm assuming that most of you have seen it. Dan Hennon's video, where he acted things out. He said just to get a picture of it.
Yes, the visualization he did.
Yeah, from that video, he suggested that if someone could do it, and I believe that I'm able to, take that caliber gun and do a test. Well, he suggested a coconut, but that's you would need like a pineapple, something denser, to see about the hole in the ceiling, and if a bullet hollow point would expand, because hollow points are tricky. And I do know a little bit about firearms, so I think that I am able, with the help of my Grunkle Jim, to do that experiment. And I'm inspired, of course, by Sophia's experiment. And I wonder if it would help, but just do set up 3 of them, and see if that hole would look, because that hole, I mean, that could get the case reopened. The fact that it wasn't there. I mean, there's so many things with that bullet. Of course, it had its DNA on it. Like, yeah, it would be great.
That would be great. Yeah. Can you film that while you do that too?
Absolutely, I would absolutely film it.
That would be great. I think.
I don't know when. I'll probably wait. I'll wait for warmer weather, but it will be filmed. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's kind of figure out where they are saying David shot himself from, and
right.
Awesome.
Yeah, the trajectory, all that. I'm on top of it. I'll probably wait till the warm weather, because of where we would have to go. Hollow points, and typically setting stuff up like that, passing the red line at the county range or even private ranges is discouraged. But he being an avid and a local, I think that we've found a place, and the .40 caliber of the same brand, and I think I know we're gonna do it, and probably when the weather breaks, and I definitely will film it for everyone to see. I don't know how much it'll prove, but it will show if it opens, and we'll at least have pictures to look at on drywall of that caliber gun shooting at that angle with his left hand, and see what happens there.
And if anything, it's always... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's great that she's going to be able to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, and if anything, it'd be just a good example.
Because I do not think that bullet would have had enough velocity if it was David's bullet that killed him. There's several issues with that. I don't think that it would have had enough velocity to puncture the ceiling and get into the attic. Also, it supposedly would have done a U-turn, and I just don't think it could have done any of that.
The old, don't worry, it's just a U-turn. Yeah.
And then, if David was moved, then we have the question of who moved him. So there's
I think
a lot of variables.
I think all 3 bodies were moved at least once, if not several times, 3 times. That's just my opinion.
I think you've got to get that shot of where they say David was. Somebody thinks, and somehow this got spread. It started as a rumor, and all of a sudden it's just fact. But David was on his knees, and he shot himself. So knowing where that living room is, and knowing where he would have to be if he's on his knees and he shoots himself, there's no way that he's going to end up how the body is found.
Exactly. If he was on his knees and he shot him, he would be straight back with his knees still bent or face forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how would he have to fall? Where would he have to be in order for him to fall and land the way that he did? Taking out the variable of that dog.
I get what you're saying.
Didn't do anything, So that's why it's going to be good if you're able to do 3 or 4 tests from different spots based on different theories. I think that's really going to help us a lot.
Yes, and if anybody has any ideas that they think they should be added, like a 4th piece of drywall for a different angle or anything, please let Greg know or email me directly, because I will be doing it as soon as the weather breaks. I'm up here in the Northeast, so it was 25 degrees this morning.
That's cold. I'm sorry. It's 55 here right now.
The weather's crazy, but that's a whole other show.
We've got I think it was 24 earlier today.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's
To
nice
say
here
the
in
least.
California.
Oh my gosh. My dad will video chat and he'll go, "Hey, you see that thermometer over there in the shade? What does that say? Does it say 85 in the shade?" While I'm sitting here in like 3 coats and snow pants and heavy boots just to come outside.
All right. Well, we are looking here at BCA 4460. So this is just a close-up image of that other one. So this kind of gives us. Let me go back to that one. This gives us a closer view.
And again, the floors are remarkably clean. The floors are remarkably clean. For, you know, I mean, I think right here.
Well, considering that there was like a lot of dust in the house, this is very clean.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's certain spots that it's like it was wiped up prior to, you know, whatever being put there, because that rug right there should have a buildup of dirt and dust right there on it, and it's not. There's like, it looks like this was cleaned right before the hair and the blood spatter and the casing there went on it.
Well, my mind goes crazy places. I need to look at the basement again. I need to take care to look at each of those pictures, the tubing. I mean, my mind has gone crazy places over the past year. But the basement and the paleo's excrement being more down there, and the fact that they did keep paleo down there, and the door was ajar, the sliding glass door. It just, I don't know what happened. But perhaps since this is so poorly staged, we have to consider, of course, that it was poorly staged on purpose.
Right.
Perhaps these weren't as unprofessional and not thought out as the scene make them look to be. Maybe it's purposely sloppy because it was done so meticulously with this much going on. I'm suggesting that perhaps maybe they were held for a period of time before whatever happened, before their deaths.
And that's a very good possibility.
There's a bit of time missing there from last comms communications to you know, how long they were actually dead, which I believe was probably 7 days. But again, that's just from what my own opinion, obviously.
7-day theory. All right. Like it. So let's go to BCA 4462. And again, just given closer view of where the bullet casing is, where some of the hair is, and then obviously where some of these blood spots are. And because of the carpet, I think that also kind of plays with things. But I definitely, I mean,
2 different color hairs. Those are 2 different color hairs. The one on the left looks like there's a clump at the top, and the second one, again, in that shape, like, I don't know, it just, and yes, the color
hair.
of the carpet.
Yeah, it looks like maybe wet or bloody or decomp or something, I don't know, but
that's true.
Hair just doesn't get there, you know, it just doesn't land where we see it, so, I don't know. What is next? Okay, so then BCA 4463, a closer view there. Sophia, anything on this one? I mean, again, we can see, the closer that we look, we can see just these tiny, very, very tiny blood spots there. And then we have to talk about the hair, obviously, here.
One of the main reasons why I put it was because of the bullet casing. And because it was all part of the stuff that was taken from the house, and it will be a part of the DNA, what they took swabs of. That's really the only reason why I included it.
Which bullet was that? Do we know?
What
This
casing
is
was
a bullet casing.
Yes. Yeah, the casing I meant.
Is it a 40 caliber? Or 20? I don't know
Yes.
what that is.
Yes,
It's a 40 caliber. Sophia, you may have answered it for that, but I just, not necessarily, but with this picture, I'm just now, not in this close-up, but I just now, on the blue and on the tan, if you will, saw the blood on this particular picture because I was so focused on the casing and the hair. So being able to see it now with you here, I see blood. And it's crazy because I've looked at this picture before and I just didn't see that. So that's just a testament to how you can pay attention to one thing and forget to look at other things.
What's that saying? You miss the forest because of the trees, or you miss...
Yes. I didn't really know what that meant, but I guess that is a very good example of that. I can't see the forest through the trees. Can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah, there you go.
Like you can almost sympathize with these officers, considering what they walked into. That is, there's really no words, and they have to walk into this and piece together what happened, so you want to sympathize with them, but then the deeper you get into it, and the more adamant they are that this case was done to the best of their ability, you really, like that sympathy where you were trying to walk in their shoes just goes away, because if they're not even willing to admit that it is possible that they missed something, with the stuff that Catherine sent to them, whatever else they've been sent, the fact that they're not even willing to look into this again, that's what I think everybody's problem is with them, because there are so many screw-ups here. There are so many things that they could have done better. And it's just your sympathy turns into pity, and that pity turns into anger, and it's awful, because you really are left with no other option but to wonder if these guys on purpose said, well, the dog ran around, so we'll just account for this and account for that and account for that by saying the dog did it, and we can all shut this and go home, and nobody has to worry about locking their doors or doing extra patrols or anything like that. We can just shut it down right here.
I'd be curious to know. I'm sure the information's available and I've just not seen it. I'd be curious to know exactly, like I said earlier, when you brought that something similar about the first officers on the scene. I would like to know more about them individually, and if any, who was called a superior when they did walk into this. I'd imagine that they would automatically have a SOP or a protocol, standard operating procedure, where they would call a higher up of some sort, or sorts, to the scene. See how many people walked through this crime scene. To me, it seems like a whole hell of a lot, especially before the 19th, when the call came in that there was a disturbance at the house, and then the next day when the cleaners were there.
It really is a lot of people.
They all need to be examined. That's another reason the case should be reopened. None of these people or properly, non-biasedly from an outside agency or just, with any kind of validity, interviewed.
On Greg's website and on the Facebook page too, in the files, you can get the police reports and look through them. There's Detective Brian Bone and Tommy Booth. There's a captain and a couple other higher ups, I guess. But if you look through the actual police reports in the files on the Facebook page and on Greg's website, you don't even really have to download it. You can just scroll right through it on your phone or your computer, and they're definitely worth the read if you sit down and do it. There's a lot of information in there to take in, so definitely pace yourself. But there are so many things.
I think it's a little too late for that. I kind of went ham when I first, about a year ago, and I did look through it all, and it affected me. Like Greg said, I'm not going to get into it, and I know it's affected people way more than me because I don't know that much. But yes, thank goodness that there's this information to look at. That's just, I'm so grateful for the work to get the information we do have. I just wish we could get the rest from the the Apple Valley Police Department, because they are holding evidence, and that should be illegal. But I guess because the case is closed, it's not. Is that right, Sophie? I think you would know that.
Yeah, the case is closed, and I can understand, withholding photos of Ronnie because she's a child, so I can understand that. But, everything else I'm having a problem with. Releasing interviews, why are we having an issue with that? I mean, I got it in another case from Apple Valley. I got interviews. So
what interviews do you mean, Sophia, if you don't mind? Like, who should they have interviewed that they did? And what interviews do you mean?
They're recording. They did recording. Excuse me. They recorded interviews of Kamal's sister, friends and family, neighbors, everybody that they talked to. They recorded,
okay.
And yet that's not available to us.
Huh.
But I researched another murder-suicide that happened right there in Apple Valley about 18 months later, after the Crowleys, and I got almost everything. Now, they didn't do test results for this one, and they wouldn't release the autopsies. But I got everything else, all the police stuff from them.
Yes, you did. It's just crazy why they didn't release the autopsies they did, but not the pictures, right? Is that what
it is? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy what they picked and choose.
I think because of the stuff that they've picked and chosen to send and what to hold back, I really feel like maybe some of it could possibly be part of another ongoing investigation, but I can't figure out what. I can't figure out how or why or anything like that. And if it was ongoing, we wouldn't be able to get anything on it anyway.
Now this hallway, this is the main hallway, right? from the kitchen to the living room, I think, or from somewhere into the living room, the hallway, maybe to the bedrooms to the living room, but it's a hallway from somewhere into the living room, correct?
No, this is from the yes, you are correct. This is from the living room into the kitchen. So where David wrote this note, where they say David walked and typed up this note. That's what we're looking at here. We're looking at BCA 4486. So this is the
This little
floor.
vent is on the island, the kitchen island.
Right.
And this is what Sophia did the test with to see with these prints. They look different with the luminol, they really do. But the thing that I just a thought, this is you would think, a main traffic way for the killer or killers, that's right, plural, one or the other. You would think that they would have to walk through here, and it just seems to be right in the middle, and two in the middle. I don't know. It was just a thought I had looking at it just now. Almost like you said, like follow the trail. Not that they needed to. I mean, geez. I don't know. It doesn't look. It looks like there was a fight. It looks like there was a fight. It doesn't look natural, right? There was some kind of fake fight, because I don't believe they were killed here. But
there are prints. I mean, there's prints here, and if we look to the right, upper right side, what is that? Is that high velocity, medium, low? What are we seeing in the right-hand side?
That to the right, that looks like either far away, high velocity, or medium. Not far away, but, a couple feet maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like spatter. But it doesn't look like enough for any kind of gunshot where the bodies are in relation to this. It doesn't look right. It doesn't fit. It's inconsistent with where the bodies are and where the gunshots are. It doesn't match. Yeah, in my opinion.
It's a pretty big leap from where these feet are too. I think that's from where you see these feet here to the right side of this image is where the carpet is. It's a pretty big leap for this many footprints, bloody prints here.
Right.
And then you have, if you look at this, I'm going to focus in on this dark spot. It says later on, once they spray a chemical, and then it kind of shows that there's some blood marks that look like they were wiped up or something. I'm wondering if that's where this black mark is here. Wondering if that's
do we know what chemical was used? Was it luminol? It looks similar to luminol.
It wasn't.
So it's a mono black?
Yeah.
It was a mono black.
Okay, because that does make a difference. I don't think luminol would make. Are you talking about that little black spot right there?
Yes.
Below the knot in the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Do you have a picture of the? I'm still not convinced this is a foot. This one, by the black. One of them looks like a kind of a side of a hand with the luminol, and then it's so hard to tell. Purposely so.
Yeah.
I personally, after doing that experiment with the paint, they would have had to have wiped up anything else, because for you to walk with that much on your feet is extremely slippery.
Yeah,
So,
where's the rest of it? Like you said, they would have had to clean it up. And you do see that smear, like something was smeared, implying maybe they cleaned, yeah.
But they probably braced themselves against that wall to study. So there would have to be DNA or fingerprint, something on that wall right there. But how did they make it to there without slipping? I seriously had to hold on to the wall when I was doing that.
I
Because
know.
it was so slippery.
I saw it. I saw you. Yeah, you'd have to be dripping to leave this from your feet. You'd have to be. There's not enough blood in the house for someone's feet to be dripping this badly, and no other stuff, unless it was cleaned up or this was placed some other way.
And
the other thing to note,
nuts on the carpet for them to leave those impressions like that.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I missed that. There's what on the carpet?
There wasn't enough blood on the carpet for their feet to be that saturated. And then on top of that, his feet were clean. It says it right there in the autopsy report.
And we see it too. I mean, the one picture shows it. I know we don't show that here the first time it was shown, but yeah, I think I've seen a picture of his feet and they're clean. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a picture of the first one that we got of the bloody wall at the very bottom. You can see David's feet partially.
Mm-hmm.
But
like
I mean,
by the couch.
These right by the couch. But this, it just looks so staged. I mean, even if these are David's feet, and I do think that these footprints do match David's feet, I think as we get lower, there's some areas where it does look like fingerprints too. But I do believe that some of this is his feet, possibly, but
it could be both. One, they do look different. I saw somebody made a comment. I actually looked at it. They said it's just a comment. They said there's a clip. It's a very odd clip in which Danny August Mason did a short film, if you want to call it that, with Robert De Niro. And there's the part where they're taking him into jail, and they said, take a look at his feet. They could be his feet, and he does have some big, odd-looking, bigger, long toe. I'm just saying. I'm not saying he did it. I'm not saying anything like that. This is just a comment. Someone led me to an odd video that he was in with Robert De Niro. The video was very odd, and you did see his feet, which I thought was also odd. Just throwing it out there.
Hope they didn't look like this. But these feet have to... But what?
I said I'll have to find it and send it to you. It's just a short thing.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. But the reason why they have to put these feet here is because this is where the laptop is. So, and it's weird that they're just here. Yeah, I mean, they should be everywhere. And there were people that were telling us that David's footprints were all over this house. Obviously, we know that's not true. This is it. Why are they just here? I mean, even if this is David's feet and it's him doing all this, it should not just be here. Look at how thick this is.
Yeah, where's the rest of it?
There should be more.
Not only should there be more, but if it was David who did it, it would have been on his feet. And his autopsy report would not have said his feet were clean. If these were his footprints, there would have been blood all in between his toes, all around his toes, in his toenails. Sophia, I was so happy.
Cleaned his feet.
Right, but why would he do that if he did this right before he shot himself? Why would he clean up the footprints all around here?
I'm saying, well, I don't think he did that anyway. But what I was saying,
right, but
I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I was just saying that there is a lot missing, and since it is staged, and we know that something was manipulated, maybe someone's hand, maybe with gloves, almost most likely used to write that writing on the wall. This could possibly be his foot. Maybe they wiped it off. Just again, just throwing it out there, fleeting thought. If it is staged, they would maybe use some of the body parts to make prints or write on the wall or splatter blood or, what have you.
Right.
Again, just throwing it out there. I just kind of say what I think at the time, and hopefully it sparks a thought.
Right, but like when Sophia did the blue paint, you can see it's like all over her feet. Even if he did wipe his feet off, unless he like sat there very meticulously after he cleaned up everything else around these few footprints, went and cleaned his feet and then came back. Why? Why did he do that? What was the point of this? If he's the one who committed this crime, what is the point in him cleaning up after himself? How did he clean up after himself? How did he manage to do all of these things that they said he did? It's just as unbelievable as blaming every single thing you can't explain on Paleo. If it's not Paleo, then it's blamed on David. It's ridiculous.
So that would be.
They were so sure it was the dog, but didn't test the dog. Didn't test the
right.
inside. They were so sure the dog did it, yet let the dog go with Dan and didn't test the dog.
Right. And they were so sure that David is the one who fired that gun, which is why they never tested for gunshot residue. Because they were just so sure that he did it that I guess they didn't see the point in doing gunshot residue to confirm that he did that.
They did.
Yeah.
Well,
no, they did not.
They couldn't though, right? Because one hand was missing and the other was mummified.
He had long sleeves on. It would have been on his skin. It would have been on his shirt.
True.
He
Exactly.
fired that gun supposedly at least.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, at least 6 times.
True.
I mean, it wouldn't have hurt them to try. Maybe it's the whole decomp. They're like, well, because the bodies have been here for 3 weeks, blah blah blah. But I mean, it's like they didn't put any effort into it. Should have at least tried.
But even still, it's like with the unknown DNA samples. If he was isolating him and his wife and their child, there should not have been anybody else's DNA in that house except for David, Kamau, Ranny, and Paleo. That's it. And this actually just came to me while I was thinking about this. Dan Crowley Jr., by putting those packages there, has a reason for any of his DNA being there. So why didn't they compare it to him? Why didn't they test his DNA against the unknown samples they found? Why didn't they test any of the other people that were suspiciously in the house against that unknown DNA? They didn't do anything with it. They just said, oh, well, we have a mixture here of this many individuals, and David, Kamau, and Ranny can be excluded, or, a jumble of those terms. But they didn't even look into whose that was. That's laziness, because if he was isolating them, not letting anybody else in, his Kamau's and Ranny's should be it in that house.
The lack of DNA, the lack of David's DNA, the lack of David's fingerprints. It's just extreme staged.
Jumping ahead here a little bit to BCA 4489. just to kind of show again, asking the same question: high velocity, medium velocity, low velocity.
Oh, I have to look at it.
What
I
am
have
I
to go
looking
back
at
to the
here in the upper right corner, at the edge of this carpet? And who could this possibly be? The only other thing about the footprints, the last thing that I would just want to say on that is it kind of, from their view, it should give them a clear timeline of when this happened, right? This should have happened last. So the last thing that David should have done, according to their theory, according to what they have here, should have been him walking up to the laptop, writing, "I have loved you all with all of my heart," not signing it, not letting people know that it's David Crowley that's writing it, but just that message is typed there. But the problem is we have the other message in the office bedroom that he writes, and there's no footprints or anything like that leading into there. So that would have had to have been done first. Which, I mean, it doesn't make sense to write these two notes in two separate rooms. There's no reason for that. Then you have what's written in blood, and then we have all of this blood, and it seems like we have more blood on that wall than we do anywhere else. But we're still looking at BCA 4489 here. Just to see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit to see if we are talking about high velocity, medium, or low.
To me, this looks like medium. High velocity will be like a mist. It'll be a tightly clumped mist. And these are larger.
Agree. Yeah, I agree.
Greg, what was written on the back of the photo that Camille supposedly left in the car for Sidra?
I've always loved you and Mom. Something like that. Where it was
I always
just,
have, and I always will love you and Mom.
There you go.
Yeah, that was
That's very
it.
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very similar
No, yeah.
to what was typed on
Yep,
a computer.
and it's similar to the missing post from David Crowley's Facebook that he says, it's similar to what David Crowley wrote to Jason Allen, where he says, once you see this, you will know that I have followed my heart. It's just these, I don't know, there's something,
I mean,
it just almost seems coded.
I was just going to say that. You have to think he is no, it's great that he's a writer, you know what I mean? And he's also a soldier, military. But yeah, I was wondering, just before we get too far, is that carpet, that corner of the carpet, where she was just talking about the velocity of the blood spatter, is there blood on that corner of that carpet? Or how much is it? Do we have a picture of that corner?
There is some, but it's very faint from
Because
this
it
image.
doesn't look like there's a lot any there from that one
There
corner.
isn't a lot. Right.
Okay.
There isn't a lot,
Okay.
but there is some.
Okay.
Okay, so jumping ahead to PCA 4493. This is a very telling one because it's on the base. It gets everyone on the boss. It's on that wall too, and then it's even in the lower left-hand side. There's some blood droppings that make it all the way out to the hallway carpet. And then, like how you guys were talking about, how you ladies were talking about the hair and how there's dust mixed into the hair. You can also see that here too. But
And see, this is a mixture of more. Oh, sorry. I get fixated on the photo and I just don't even hear anything else. It's a mixture of low and medium for this photo. This is definitely not high. So it's almost like somebody was hit. Or there's no cast off. So it's not that. It's like they were hit. Or they could have had a bloody sponge and they could have been throwing to get blood droplets to go off. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It looks like that could be like a flicking or a flicking motion or a absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of zoom in on those because that is curious against that wall. And barely on the base. We're going to look at the hallway. This is BCA 4494. So you can see how far that blood travels. That's far. Let's go to the next one. Now, this is BCA 4555. This is the sink in the master bedroom. Now, this is not blood, right? It's not labeled as blood. It's not mentioned as blood, but looking at it, like blood to me. I don't know.
Is this the sink?
Yes.
Because it hasn't caught up to YouTube yet. I don't know. Some people have said it looks like hair dye or that it looks like bong residue. Never smoked pot, so I don't know what bong residue looks like.
Yeah, I do, but not like that. And also, there was no cannabis found in their system, so, and they would have cleaned it up if it was, there for that long. I mean, right? Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
It does look like some kind of residues, shortly, some kind of flaky almost, maybe dried fluids, blood.
I mean, it's not even mentioned. Maybe throw up. I was thinking, well, maybe somebody threw up blood or just had a bad.
No, I didn't think of that.
Had a bloody nose, but that would still be blood. They don't mark this as blood.
What do they mark it
as?
Nothing.
No, it wasn't marked as anything.
Yeah, they don't even mention.
Are you kidding?
No.
Oh my gosh.
If you hadn't seen that
literally
photo,
something.
You wouldn't even know that it was there. Go ahead.
I mean, that's something. That's insane. They should have swabbed that, tested it. There's some smears right there by the drain.
Right.
Yeah, to rule out. Right. That's the thing they didn't do. They had it made up in their mind, and they didn't do anything that they were supposed to.
And that's what's so frustrating about this case. It's like, well, what are they thinking?
That's BCA 4555. Okay, Sophia, the next one you have here is BCA 4672. Tell us about this one.
Okay, I'm not sure which one that is. I'm on YouTube.
This one is the basement. So this is a photo of the where the bullet lands in the basement. So this is
Oh,
island 45.
that was just because of the bullet.
And this might be to show that there was no blood.
Yeah, and that bullet actually didn't have any DNA or blood on it.
Right.
I'm
And now, which bathroom
literally
is it?
preaching to the choir right now.
Well, this isn't the one with the glass sinks that Rainey used and the double sink. Is this the basement? Is this the what sink is this? Oh boy, there's this.
That was the master bedroom.
Okay.
So that was
Okay.
David's master bedroom.
Got it. Yeah, there it is.
The bathroom that Rainey had, I think, two kind of glass sinks, or they were clear,
Yeah.
I think.
Two like round glass things that sit above. It's kind of a contemporary fixture, like a double sink with the two separate, bowls and then cabinets underneath, I think.
It's actually very pretty.
Yeah, and you can see that's where she brushed her teeth in the one sink. I mean, at least that's what it looks like, a child brushing of the teeth. What is that long strand right there down on the left? I know that's paleo right there, but what is that? Is that paleo too? Or we don't know?
And the
Okay.
that poop, the little.
Two different consistencies, but I mean, I guess it was several days, so I just think that's notable.
Yeah. All right, let's just go through a few more here, and then we'll wrap this one up. Let's look at BCA 4755. I think this will be a good place for us to stop here, because this one, again, you have blood all over this Quran, and if you look at the lower right hand corner of BCA 4755, let me go back and see what looks like even a little piece of brain.
Where are you seeing that there?
So looking at the Quran in this image, it's going to be on the right-hand side.
Oh, okay. You're not there yet. Okay. I'm a little behind. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. There is a little lag from this. But where the blood is on this, there's a lot of blood everywhere. I'm just going to go to the next one to kind of zoom in on that little piece there. And then you can kind of see where David's hand is. But, I mean, the book is opened. And this is another reason why things look staged. And here,
Exactly.
other pages open, but
there's a piece of hair conveniently right in the middle, strewn in the middle of the page. I'm trying to. Why would the book be out, bloody, open? It's not like they were sitting there. According to the police report, they weren't sitting there reading the Bible. They were looking at their devices or a movie, and David came in behind. So this is a complete confirmation in my mind that it was staged.
This isn't mentioned in the 911 call either. I mean, maybe that's not really relevant, but it's just weird.
Well, if Allah Akbar is on the wall, it might be relevant. If Allah Akbar is on the wall in blood.
Should be.
Yes.
But, I don't know.
That's odd. That's very odd and disturbing. Maybe not the 911 call, but this is evidence, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is closer to the window than any of the three the three bodies.
Right.
And this is very close to where the gun is, but
Now, this may seem like a stupid question, but where is David's skull? Is there a separate book that his skull is on, or how did his skull get moved onto this book, or what happened? Is there two books? I'm confused.
well, there's pages, so there's a bunch of pages that are ripped out. And
Okay.
So, that was the other thing. Were these random pages that were ripped out, or is there a purpose to them? You see this one page, skipping ahead to BCA 4756, where the page is actually folded. You don't see that too much. The page is ripped a little bit. And then in the bottom, you can see David's, this would be David's left hand pinky finger is what we're looking at here at the bottom here. That's kind of blurred out. So I don't know. I mean, and then there's some of these pages that are all the way on the other side of the living room, on the other side of Kamel. It's scattered everywhere. It's raining. It's raining It's raining Quran pages. And we're just supposed to believe that David did this, even though that he falls, his hand is on top of these pages. He set these pages there and then fell. I mean, the book happens to be open. The book is actually upside down from where his hand is. It's just it's hard to believe he's going to do this. And then go ahead.
Just when whoever did this made it rain Quran pages, which is disrespectful to a biblical book. I mean, I don't follow this biblical book, just saying. You'd think if someone held it in regard, they wouldn't desecrate it like this. But I know this may be a stupid question. Were any of these pages dusted for prints? Out of all the pages across the living room, like you said, as many as there were they dusted for prints? And if so, why not? If not, why not?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Oh, boy. Yeah, the police department needs to be investigated. I mean, really, this is...
We've got to go higher up.
Yeah, I just mean...
State level.
Wow. I mean, with that on the wall and papers everywhere, you would think that they would... Yeah, is that a hair there?
Yeah, there's hairs in the middle of the pages.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
how did they get there? Who's
I mean, I don't...
Then we have the shawl. So if we go to BCA 4761, we have the shawl there. And from every image that we've seen, this was white. So, again,
the shawl was
a
white
lot of the blood, could a lot of the missing blood be here? On the shawl. It's on the pages.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood on that shawl. That's all white. I mean, this is why is that even out? I mean, this isn't something he wore in his everyday life. He wore it, overseas in pictures while filming, stuff like that. But for this to be like in the middle of the living room, wouldn't it be hanging up on a coat rack or in a closet or in a drawer somewhere, or just the fact that it's... I mean, I guess not. I guess he could have had it out. It just seems odd that that's even there. But this scarf is actually, it is maybe not this particular one, okay? But this style of scarf is often used in with Muslims and overseas. So
where David was.
Right.
and he had a love for this culture. It seemed like he had a love for some of the people there. And so to do this would even be more. It's more reason why it can't be him.
Right.
This is
I
not
totally
something
agree.
that he would do. I mean, why not look at people overseas that might have had issues with David Crowley? You know, there's so many other motives that they could have looked for.
And the scarf and then all of this, and the fact that they didn't dust the pages for prints, even though they're clearly laid out. It's just unconscionable, really.
These are ripped out. I mean, this isn't the dog. If we're looking at BCA 4761, you know, this isn't the dog ripping out. Somebody ripped out these pages. And
that's the first time they did this.
Right. And they're basically telling us that David Crowley did this. He ripped out these pages, put them around his wife, put them around where he knew that he was going to land, and put the Quran conveniently right where he would land after he killed himself. Hard to believe.
And upside down.
And upside
if it was in his hand, which
pretty much sums up this whole case. Upside down.
True.
Even if you look at BCA 4762 and you look at that little bone to the left of the number 6, look at the Quran page there. Look at what that reads. I mean,
what does it say? I'm sorry, I can't.
It says true. TRUE. That's what you see there.
Okay.
It's just a lot of weird, creepy things, stuff like that. But it's just there's just way too much here. These investigators know better. There's no way that they didn't look deeper. You know, I mean, I don't believe that. I think we've talked about that, but you know, it's not about all of the Apple Valley. It's not about all of the investigators. It only takes a few at the very top to just make sure things go the way that they want them to go. Whether they're a part of the crime or a part of the cover-up.
I would love to have somebody decode this crime scene, like an occultist, somebody who studies it. Not. No. I would love for them to decode it. You know, like all the different things, the pages, the way that stuff was staged, because it's definitely saying something, but I can't see it.
You have, in this image, 4762, BCA 4762, you literally have 666. You know, I mean, there are a lot of occultist things. There are a lot of things that could have been staged left for that. You know, it could have been kind of what we're talking about here. It's almost meant for us. It's meant for people to chase that rabbit, you know, to go down that rabbit hole. And so I think when you're looking at a case like this, it's very important to stick to what the facts are, to stick to what is true, to stick to all of that, because there is something, you know, there is something very demonic associated with this case, from my view.
I agree. If I could add, I think it's that is such an important and interesting and way to go. I actually may be able to help with that. Casey from Enter the Stars Reloaded, he decodes like Hollywood movies, and he knows about Masonic stuff and gematria and numerology. And it doesn't matter if you practice it. Some people do. He's a very good decoder of things. I wonder if he would be willing to look and see what he sees.
can you reach out to him and maybe see if?
I can, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That would be amazing. Because it's saying something. It really is, and I'm just not at that level.
Yeah, it's good not to study it too much. There's a couple channels that I know of that I could actually call upon to help with the decode. But Casey, he's a Christian and very level-headed, and he knows about the occult, and yeah, that's a very good idea. I mean, it's a great idea.
Thank you.
All right. Any final words here, or anything that we haven't covered? I haven't looked in the chat room, so I'm gonna look in there. And I want to thank everybody who is with us, everyone who has joined. I missed a lot of people's names. Sorry about that. But
There's a lot of latecomers, too.
yeah, which is good. Like that. Sounds like me.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you for letting me, Sophia, hijack your pictures there for a moment, a little bit, to talk about the film that I think we agree should be banned. No, I'm kidding. I believe in free speech, but it should be somehow destroyed. So I do appreciate being included. And Beige says the entire spiritual element is crucial in this case, and I think that that's true. Obviously, whatever happened here, they're trying to make it look like a spiritual thing, and most likely was in some ways. So thank you all, and thank you to chat, and I'm going to share this as I've been sharing your work, Greg, and your book and all that. So thank you all for having me.
You're welcome, and thank you for coming on and sharing your views. And thank you for keeping this case alive on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, that has been a big help too. So thank you for that. What is the name of your YouTube channel for people that want to check you out?
It's okay. They could just tap on my icon. It's ELLE, my LLE, 1978. Yeah, that's my channel.
And
yeah.
Tell us some of the topics that you cover, because you cover a lot of good topics that.
I do. A lot of people refer to me as their news lady. I do cover some mainstream articles, and I break it down with commentary. My channel is labeled entertainment. Of course, there's speculation, but I get into, I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe it. I've done a couple of vids on the virus that I think are important. Basically, I'm against pedophilia, the whole system as it is, globalization, transhumanism, the push, all the debaucherous stuff they're trying to push on our children, Hollywood, all of that, 5G. Those are my, and of course cases like this, those are my things that I'm passionate about, weather manipulation, things like that. So I cover, I'm a sky watcher, stuff like that. That's what I cover.
Awesome. All right.
All right. Good night, guys. Thank you. I'm gonna go. My husband got home, so I'm gonna go say hi to him. And thanks again for having me. And I will look forward to talking to you guys soon.
Awesome.
Have a good night.
Great.
Thanks. Night.
All right, everyone. I want to say thank you all for joining us here. And unless Sophia or Stephanie have any final words, I'm going to go ahead and shut this live conference call down.
If anybody would like to see the photos or look at the files, we have almost everything in the group. And Greg, do you want to put a plug in for your blog and your book?
Sure, why not? So if you go to the graystage.wordpress.com, you can download a free version of the book, The Gray Stage. And we have a new podcast that we've just started. We just started going on that. Mostly it's on our Spotify channel. So again, if you just search for the Gray Stage podcast, that should come up. We haven't made it to iTunes yet, but we're making it to all of these other podcast platforms that honestly I've never heard of. So I don't know. But the goal is to spread the word as much as possible. So I understand, I'm not going to ask people if they want to find this data. I'm not going to ask them to pay for it. That's why we have a free PDF that anybody can download. Everything is sourced. You'll be able to find those sources. You'll be able to look at all of the different facts and all the strange things surrounding this case just to get you started. That's all it is. That's all the book is really made for. And that's all I got. Sophia, do you have a name for your podcast yet? Because your
No,
podcast
not
is
yet.
going to be on, your podcast will be on Spotify too. And we'll definitely be posting that into the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to be posting it to YouTube too.
Nice.
Once it starts. I should be putting the first one up in a couple weeks.
Cool.
And hopefully you'll be
Sounds good.
joining me back for that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely help. Whatever you need me to do, if you need me to
Sounds great.
record anything or whatever. And Stephanie, any final words? You're still with us?
I'm not sure. She wrote in the live chat, thank you guys for having me.
Okay.
So, okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna be the Gray Stage podcast. Number 2 will be coming out on March 1st, and then we're gonna record another one very soon. So we'll probably be back here within another week or two for another live YouTube show, another conference call. We have some great topics that we're going to go over, so I'm not sure which one we're going to choose yet, but we're going to have a good topic, and then, we're always going to have it where, hey, whatever you want to talk about, if you're part of the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group, and if you want to join into this call, we're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. All right, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend, and God bless you all. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all of your help, and keep truth alive. Until next time.
Good night, everybody.